you have to study. Everything is there. In India also, when we were in petroleum distribution, again same mindset problem was there that we were learning. So what we did, we also went to McDonald's and everyone and trying to learn that okay, how do you serve? Quick serve outlet, what is the timing, how much is turnaround time, can you go self-service? So once we have competition and we bring outside talent in the sector, I think that is also one what public sector, PSU, distribution companies and maybe private sector distribution companies also need to learn. That can you bring other sector people to improve service part. Now, as sir rightly said, last year we did almost 1.5 crore meter as a country. What I see is this year alone Adani will do more than 1 crore. Today we are hitting 40,000 per day almost twice a week. My team is willing to go to 50,000 per day, but we are holding them that okay, manage your inventory supply chain properly, and then we can scale up. So I see that the
Marketing is a buzzword. I think all of us have heard this name many times. Every day I think we hear this word very often. I think key all of us know about it. The target the country has set is about 250 million smart meter by 2027. It's a $20 billion opportunity. I think about 110 million meters are already awarded. Close to 20 million have been installed. It's a massive opportunity. And all of us know how metering is becoming so important and becoming so central to generation, transmission and distribution, the forecasting and all that stuff. I think I have very knowledgeable colleagues here with me. As we go into the session, more insights will come out of this. So today's session is on optimizing transmission, utilizing the smart metering. As the day progresses, I think there are many more sessions, and we talk about the cyber security. There will be a discussion on seamless communication. There will be policy and regulatory perspectives for future for smart metering. Then there are state level support and initiatives that are being planned for smart metering. And then the strategic investment in this sector is another session which will come up, and there are certain case studies that are coming up here. So while the power flows from generation to the consumer, but the money flows in the reverse direction. Unless you measure it well, it's difficult, to keep the cash cycle going on. There's a massive investment happening in the sector today. All of us know about those numbers. So without losing any time, I think let me, move to the panel. And I think all of us would be really want to hear these knowledgeable people. I'll go sit there. Yeah, perfect.
Members on the dais, industry friends and colleagues, a very good morning to all of you. Without wasting time, I think I'll straight go into the context of smart metering. And Alokji in the morning mentioned that the transition we are seeing. India, I think all of us should be proud about this. India is implementing one of the largest smart metering transformations on PPP basis. No other country has implemented ever this scale. If you see the last 5-6 years in short span of time, from a small concentrated industry, it has shifted to today industry, the manufacturing, implementation, there is no problem at all. We have about 61 AMI SPs that have been empaneled and more than 100 supply chain players that are present. Point that we realize when we start analyzing what has happened in smart metering space across the world, now regimes that have understood different dimensions, what we were talking in the morning sessions of this transformation, have leveraged this well. And I'll talk about these dimensions. What are these? Now, early installations in many developed countries face resistance. In India also, we spoke about Gujarat, Maharashtra, Anupji mentioned about that. The reviews that happened in these developing countries, one simple statement summarizes it, that it's a multifaceted change which is about technical, economic, social as well as behavioral change that is happening. It is at a sweet spot because some of these aspects we learned from others and were embedded in the guidelines and SBD. Not all of them, but some of them, and a lot more needs to be done. So let's understand what are these changes we are talking about and what is the analytical layer that is needed to make best use of these assets. First, We have moved from grid opacity to now data symmetry. There were high level of heuristics, data vacuum between substations and households. Now there is 5-minute, 10-minute interval data that is available. There is fault intelligence. On the economic side, revenue leakages, as was mentioned in the previous session, also loss reduction will not remain the only case. But how can we bring larger financial discipline, whether it is through loss reduction but also revenue protection and dynamic tariffs, which remains work in progress still. And the last is how we can engage more and more with the consumers, bring them in so that they can start using this asset even more. The self-service capabilities, even non-utility use cases and so on and so forth. So this lower part that you are seeing, analytical layer, the more we start using it, large number of use cases will emerge that optimize both transmission as well as distribution services and create new avenues for services as well as revenue. Now, what is at the core of this? Why we should do this? How we should enable this? We have spoken about trust, we have spoken about customer expectations, etc.
You may be going to select based on some parameters. These are the SLAs, you will define it. But then this way we may be able to very much inculcate with our partner that cyber risks which are there in the market, you cannot stop it. But what are the practices you want to adopt it? If you write it down, if you comply it, and if you monitor it, then you may be able to do so. If you are going for a cloud environment, then it's very important that we need to ensure that it should be METI compliant. Where your data is being stored, whether the data is stored in India or outside India, then you need to be very particular by the compliances, whatever laws have been made, we have to there. And then when data is there, in case any breakage terms is there, then what kind of data deletion techniques which you are going to adopt, what are the agreement you have done, that data will be back to you, or data will be deleted, then what are the migration elements which are there. And what are the other cyber security practices, cyber security certifications which your partner has already availed, like ISO 20001 and other certifications. These are the few prerequisites which we need to ensure at the time of availing any solution on the IT side or the OT side. If we do so, then I think it will be a good ecosystem which will be developing between the two entities as a partnership, and then it will be giving a good customer service to our customers, and then they may be able to avail all the digital platforms very efficiently and effectively.
The things that I think I would like to see, I'm not sure what I'll see in the future, but I'd like to see that for sure.
In this context, I want to inform that because at the CA level and at the ministry level, we have seen that because our smart metering program, it is being implemented the OPEX model or TOTEX model. So this is the mandate under the rules. So we have already circulated the guidelines very recently. So under the O&M cost, because O&M part is one of the part of the this tariff structure. Because mainly the purchase cost and O&M cost is one of the main part. And what we have seen that under the O&M cost, the 50 to 60% cost is going to the salary part, and then 15% around for the maintenance part, maintenance and renovation, and then some cost is for the establishment charges. So there is no head for the OPEX side and training and etc.
That actually leads me nicely to my next question to you, sir, Mr. Goyal. When we look back at the last few years, there have obviously been some clear successes under the RDSS. Something that the industry has reacted to positively. When we talk about from the regulatory standpoint, I think one of the key things you mentioned here is to, I think you alluded to the fact that there has to be some consistency in the regulatory approach that's adopted across the country. Now, of course, the nature of our Electricity Act and the powers that it gives both the Central Commission and the State Commission are such that you at times might have different views in implementation more than in spirit. But how do you see this progressing, sir? Do you think, who do you think the champion will be in this country in terms of a regulator Is it the CRC who has to lay down the benchmark in terms of how this works? Of course, with guidance from organizations like the CEA who are tasked with on advising on technical standards and directing that policy there. But to ensure consistent.
Because CRC they have a different domain, and for the distribution utilities we have to certainly go to the state regulator. Because the CRC level, already the transmission level and generation level, we have already mandated this smart meter that is already being used from quite some time, and now we are introducing 5-minute meters, 5-minute time frame meter. So, but definitely we have to go to the state regulators. So, for the distribution utility, but as we are seeing that they also have some apprehensions to introduce the smart meter, because in many states when we talk, so DISCOM say that our regulator they are not approving the this implementation of the smart meter. Although the CA regulation says that now from 22 the meter, all meter would be smart meter. But still we are thinking that some electronic meter and old meter they are also being purchased. So it has to be seen by the regulator. They have to be educated in this regard. They should be given the information that because as the distribution system is now changing very fast. So if we are not changing, if we are not digitizing, if we are not introducing smart meter, then what will happen after 5 years? After if you see the scenario after 2030.
Optimize the connectivity that's granted to our developers. And it's fascinating to hear your thoughts on how that is one side of the equation almost. You have the distribution side, the smart metering platforms that can do as much to help stabilize the grid, to improve frequencies and those aspects. So that's a really valuable insight. You, of course, are a really prominent figure as equal as in the industry as a service provider as well. Now, from that viewpoint.
Yeah, thank you, Riaz. When the SBD document came, basically united the entire country, all the DISCOMs under one umbrella. It has given a birth to a lot of manufacturers. They have increased their current capacities. The existing one and the new players have got into the play. It has various components apart from meter. It's a communication piece. There is a cloud service, headend system, MDN, WFM, and so on and so forth. So a lot of players have come into this play. Looking at the SBD, there was a standard guidelines which brought all the utilities under one umbrella and all the vendors under one umbrella. That was a beautiful concept which was brought by the Ministry of Power at that moment of time. Now, few challenges, we have worked very hard for last maybe couple of years in creating an ecosystem where the meter manufacturer is integrating their meter with the communication provider is integrating with an HES with MDM, posting on various clouds and making it universal so that there should be no interlocking with one kind of a vendor. The AMISP has the freedom, the utility has the freedom to deploy the project the manner they want to. And lot of efforts, lot of energy have been already deployed for last 1.5 years in creating this. So the compliance part is almost done with the major meter manufacturers and the major vendors, they have done it. Now the point which comes is the outcome.
So actually I was calling because at ministry level also, because your crux is there at the protect mode. So many times we have advised because now the end-to-end this responsibility is with the MISP. So DISCOM should not have so much of this, because they also have their own rules and regulations to check the meter, because meters should be correct and this should be. But at the ministry level, many advisory has also gone, because it is a responsibility of AISP to keep the system going, and they will get the money only after the meter is running correctly. So in this case, the DISCOM education is very much required. We also have the medication that they are insisting on five number of this seals also and everything. So this might be changed. So, but at standardization level, so when we recall, when we are starting for the standardization, so we are searching for IEC standard for the smart meter. So we then we looked at that there is no international standard for the smart meter. So at the Indian level, we started this preparation of the Indian standards. So every stakeholder was there, secure meter, they have also so much of help because they are very much partner in everything standardization also. So then the standard 164 was prepared first time in the country, and then we are saying to the world that we have standardized the smart meter. But that is the one layer only, because we have adopted the DLMS protocol that the data will go in the certain in the protocol. But afterward, because still we don't have the standardization at the MDM, HES level. So now Ministry of the Instance of Ministry, we are taking up the standardization of HES and MDM integration also. So one guideline has already been issued by CII for standardization of at HES and MDM level. And also one committee of BIS is also working on the standardization of this communication module, which is going inside the smart meter. So because presently this is a vendor driven, so they have a different this dimension and different configuration. So we are working on it, but this will take time, and then when the report is final, then we will also advise the ministry that it will take around 2 to 3 years or 4 years for implementation, because every meter manufacturer, they will redesign the meter and then they have to take the BIS certification and all. So
to add something. Today, industry has demonstrated a large extent of deployment. Though it is still very less, it is 7%, we are lagging behind to our numbers, what we have. But the major suppliers have already demonstrated their capability and capacity on the ground. So that from there the point was coming, that doing the similar exercise again and again, if it could be avoided, I'm not sure. If the policy doesn't allow, it doesn't allow. We go with the flow the way it is. And as Sir also said, that power grid, after taking certain laws, they give the waiver. Probably that is not prevailing too much in DISCOMs. DISCOM does the 100% testing, and that either the policy is made in such a manner that if 5 lots are tested, or 5 after 5 are waived off and then 5 more are tested. So that some sort of a policy which could reduce this inefficient time, and we could achieve our targets. Today the outcome is more important now. Compliance we all have done. We have already have demonstrated on the ground. That's little point I wanted to add.
Thank you so much. Mr. Bali, if I could ask you just, you've been involved with the National Smart Grid Mission, and in terms of our learnings, if you look back over the past 3-4 years specifically, what would you say some of the key learnings have been, and are those learnings now shaping policy decisions at the government's level? Is there a concerted effort for us to, we of course put in place, like I mentioned at the beginning, some really strong policy frameworks to take this forward. The RDSS is obviously one such example. There are, however, so when I look at certain aspects, always I think room for improvement and room for easing how we do business. Lock-ins in the contract, specify that you must be invested, you must have skin in the game for a certain amount of time, because that's who we are contracting with as the DISCOM. And there are certain thresholds that are put out there, 100% for 2 years post-installation date, 51% thereafter. But despite that, there is still provisions that I need to go to the DISCOM for an approval, even if I change the 1% shareholding, direct or indirect otherwise. Now, these sorts of situations, the topic is a pet peeve of mine, so I will ask you the question. But these kinds of situations, would the government be willing and open to consider further re-looking at some of these aspects to again just ease, the way of doing business, and to ensure that for the things that matter, we have our eyes on the ball, and then there are of course other things that can just help people do business a little easier.
Not only public, central funding scheme. To name it, any other scheme of this, even the last 15 lakh, there is a 1.5 lakh partition. And you see the transformation. We have not gone into that deliver this is done. We have evolved into a SLA based point. सामने है हमारे single salary discussion करते थे हम लोग, and GS are all. We basically make it SLA point. Don't give us this deliver this. We wanted SLA. You give us a 10-year job. Deliver an SLA and get the payment. Not only payment, we have given basically direct transfer. What we call it as we have a rather evolved news to just call it
DDF.
DDF. So this is all been done to because AMI has to be given charges for that. So these are the things we have brought on the change. Of course, new changes you asked, from the election perspective you asked. Of course, we have gone to the learning. There is one comprehensive scheme should be there. Every stakeholder should be there. Objective based, when we say amendment objective based should be there. SLA based should be there. Fund should be easily available. And of course, this transfer, etc., can very well change. Even the AMI that we have came later. If we have demonstrated this particular solution, let us see, and then go ahead. Now 60 plus are there. 60 plus AMI development agencies are there. They can choose their partner, no problem. And of course, very typical aspect of entire this learning from say RITDRE. I'm confident that we will part of the RITDRE. Then it will and this RTE. At the beginning, we have an integrated grid. And there is basically, I think at the moment, 11 regions in our country that is being maintained by Grid Control of India. And in that, in case of any fault is there is a earlier used to be cascading effect. And there are not so many safety mechanisms built in between. If there is any disturbance, that will be taken care by islanding and etc. So no need to worry because these are very small countries and we haven't had the proper reason. But I can tell you there may be too much of intermittency of this DER and etc. जो हम renewable की बात करते हैं. That may be we have yet to come to the term ki where are the challenges happening. But in India, Russia is already there.
Which are getting to the energy scene. So are the transmission losses standard to all particulars? If you say that
इसको offline, we take it offline because we're running out of time. Transmission losses
is even above 40% of what the national targets are. So how the policy and regulatory aspects are being secured, especially with regards to the data privacy. I mean, I'm talking about in the context of smart metering and equity and consumer protection.
They are the posted contracts. They have been executed really well. If we take what Ganesh was saying about discipline and detail when you're executing these contracts, it is all about detail. It is all about discipline. Like Vishwaji said, he tested every meter in his lab before it went out, which is very, very abnormal. Best case, best practice is replicable across other towns and cities and states in India, and we must replicate, we must learn from each other. Because until and unless we learn from each other and replicate, then getting the outcomes right for this program is going to be difficult. So I think in summary, let's go ahead. Thank you.
There has been a definite and good improvement that has been noticed in the last few months. Today, we are installing almost 1.12 lakh smart meters per day, and this was around 15,000 when we were starting the entire rollout somewhere around March or April 24, and see the jump that it has seen in over these many months, despite all sort of issues which have been coming up in between. So they were being tackled, and a lot of efforts had gone into convincing and making the DISCOMs and MISPs coordinate with each other and starting the implementation of the process. So it has been a very different journey altogether than a normal contract execution. What happens in a just another non-PPP kind of a project, or the earlier meter installation projects which have happened at such a large scale. So this itself shows that this is a very different program that we are trying to envisage under this entire scheme of RDSS. And designing the scheme had its own challenges. When we started, even the concept of carrying out in the TOTEX mode this entire smart meter program was something which was a task to be made understood by all the stakeholders, the DISCOMs, the DDM mechanism, which was another payment security mechanism which was part of this entire smart metering contract. We had a very long discussions happening on this issue of direct debit mechanism being established in the DISCOMs. I had, one DISCOM almost 2 to 3 months I used to convince them that, this has to be in place to ensure the payment security mechanism getting established for the MISP project. We have all CEOs also sitting here, they must be well aware of, what all has gone into. The real takeoff of this entire project would be around, March 24, which I mentioned, when it actually started rolling out. There were then certain challenges relating to consumer resistances being faced in one or the other state. Then slowly the DISCOMs were onboarded, those issues were settled. Some issues in the logics also which were developed under the MISP program, but some issues of consumer awareness being, the issues not getting communicated at the level of consumers. What benefit the consumer is getting out of the installation of the smart meters. Even the DISCOMs, my predecessor mentioned that it has so many features for the DISCOMs, so many features for the consumers. The DISCOMs are also unaware. What exactly is the benefit which I am going to get out of it, other than me getting a amount being paid through the prepaid. This was all that was understood by and large. Then over the period we have started discussions on the data analytics. A lot of things are being deliberated every 2 to 3 times a week that what all can happen. A few days back I was taking a meeting of the MISPs and DISCOMs on the smart meter data analytics, and I was surprised that Assam, which has around 50% of the smart meters being installed and implemented, is still using the MIS data sheet being generated out of the FDN system for analytics. This is not what we want. We want to make it, something innovative, something game-changing. So now the time has come, since, because we have a good number of meters being installed across the DISCOMs, especially, few states which are almost at least 50% getting saturated. For example, Assam is one of them, Bihar is one of them. That now those use cases should come out, where the DISCOMs could actually feel, the consumers can actually feel, oh, this is the benefit that I'm going to get out of it. Still, there are not big numbers that we can talk about. So, thanks to all the MISPs which have been very forthcoming, and they've been very supportive in developing those use cases. And there are certain challenges which they are still facing. The go live issues are there, the SAT issues are there, which we are in coordination with the DISCOMs. We are trying hard to get the things moving. A lot of areas the go live has happened, the payment thing has started, but still there is a lot to happen and a lot to go. So leaving that apart, now we should start working on the numbers, start showing the benefits of the smart meter. As I mentioned, the data analytics is the next generation. It is going to generate so much of data which is not appropriately utilized. It not only wastes that data, but also wastes the entire infrastructure that we are creating out of it. So definitely a huge potential which is there. My predecessor mentioned about the energy accounting system being developed, the power purchase optimization is another feature that can really come into it. Then we have the load forecasting tool which is being developed. Certain things we are also getting developed through some of the other funding agencies, but I think MISP is developing them and integrating them into the system has the highest potential of generating the economies of scale. Today, each and every MISP would be working on numbers not less than 30 to 40 lakhs on state which is having around 40 to 50 lakh of consumers. I'm sorry, there is a call from Minister of Office. I was mentioning is that there is a lot of economy of scale that can be related once the AMIC start developing these systems, and I'm hopeful that within another 15 days, if I'm very optimistic, and maybe another 30 days, my CEOs are all there, they would be supporting me, I guess. We should be having good numbers on the data analytics, along with the potential, which can be seen over the next year of cycle. So I think now is the time that we should really leverage that potential and grab that opportunity, and also showcase these benefits to the stakeholders. We have the political representatives, we have the consumer associations. Let us go forward and show them the numbers. This is the benefit, these are the advantages that somebody can get out of the installation of smart meters. Today we we are talking that there would be energy accounting, there would be load forecasting, there would be optimization, but what is the number? Even I am not aware. So that's why these use cases with actual numbers now are required to come out in the public domain, and once again thanks to the MISPs that they have been very much supportive in this entire exercise. I think in another 2 to 3 months time, this 1.12 lakh of smart meters per day which we are installing should be touching around 2 lakh of smart meters per day, and possibly not by FY26, but maybe a year more or 1.5 years more, we should be in a position to have good number of smart meters being installed across the states. And obviously saturating a DT and saturating a feeder is very essential to have a very accurate data being generated. So that is also something that we are working on in the entire process, so that when we move forward, we saturate certain areas so that potential data can be generated out of the entire system. And with the data analytics and home automation is another thing that we are right now working on. Since last 2-3 weeks, I've been engaging with the smart home appliances. They all have their own ecosystem being developed. Going forward, what the ministry is aiming is integrating all these smart ecosystems of the home appliances with the smart meter ecosystem. Demand side management is one potential tool going forward, which has the potential of not making discoms making that huge an investment and still be able to meet their peak demands. And in that, this integration would be very helpful, and what we are intending actually is controlling and monitoring of the smart home appliances and the consumptions through the smart meter application and vice versa. So this is another thing that can really push things forward, and good that we have all of us sitting here and brainstorming on these issues. And once again, apologies for the entire change of program, and thank you for listening me out. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Shashankji, for your address. While yes, there is a change in plan, good news is that he is willing to spend 15-20 more minutes with us. Opportunity to meet him, we can have some questions answered. And thank you for the extended time. With this, I would request Ghanshyam Prasad ji, Chairman CII, to address us, please. Thank you.
Own implementation, we have not done it ourselves. Can I ask why? Any good reason that can come out of from the group? Was it that, are we waiting for DISCOMs to come to you and install these smart meters? Can we take our own initiative and say that, tell to the DISCOM, please come and install smart meter to my house? Has any one of us told the DISCOM कि please आप मेरे घर में आकर के smart meter लगा जाओ? Any one of us? I think. Yeah, please go ahead. I would love to hear it from you.
since morning we are here, we are listening, and the subject is the smart metering.
Ji.
Okay, but there is no a single video giving the practical what are the benefits of smart meter.